Welcome to Amazing Business Radio with best-selling author and customer service and business expert, Shep Hyken. Shep will talk with some of the smartest thinkers in business to help make you more successful in your professional and personal life. This is Amazing Business Radio with Shep Hyken.
Hello, everybody. Shep Hyken here. We're back with another episode of Amazing Business Radio, and I'm excited about today's guest, Michelle Pascoe, all the way from Sydney, Australia. And she is a speaker, trainer, consultant who works with companies on creating amazing experiences, and she specializes in the hospitality industry. As you know, if you've listened to the show, I am a strong believer in a hospitality mentality for any industry, any company. This is important. Now, before we get into the interview, quick announcement. If you've got an amazing story that you want to share, or you have a question that you want to ask, please reach out to me in any social channel. I am everywhere. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm on X, formerly known as Twitter. I'm even on TikTok. I'm on everywhere. Just ask the question or tell the story. If it is a question, use the hashtag AskShep, and I'll answer it there. I'll answer it on this show. I'll answer it in my newsletter, or I might answer it on my TV show, which is Be Amazing or Go Home. And episodes can be found on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Prime. And if you just go to beamazing.tv, that is beamazing.tv, you can binge all the episodes at once. And now it's time for an interview. Michelle, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Shep. I'm so delighted to be here. And as you may hear from my accent, I'm not from your part of the world. I'm from the Southern Highlands outside of Sydney, 2 hours south in Australia.
Wow. I thought maybe with that accent you were from Alabama.
Well, I could be, but yes, no.
You could live in Alabama, but you would still have an accent. What's funny is if people come to you from Alabama, you're going to say, hey, you have an accent. You didn't have that accent until we started talking today.
Very true. And I think I've been coming back and forth to America for multiple times every year, and I can slip into a good Texas accent if I need to.
All right. Well, we don't need to, but I love the name of your company, operating. Let's do it. Optimum Operating. This is a tongue twister. Say this fast 5 times. Optimum Operating Procedures and Services, also known as Oops.
That's me.
How did you come up with, well, I mean, I get it. You've given some serious words to the letters OOPS, oops, but go ahead and give us the backstory on that one.
Well, it's quite interesting because I'm very much an extrovert. I love talking, but I married a man who has always been in government and policy. And so, when we decided I was going to create this business, he was very serious. You have to have the word optimum, and it's got to be operating, it's got to be procedures, it's got to be service. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, sounds so formal. But then when he wrote it out literally on the back of a napkin, I said, oh, it's oops. So I train the oops out of your people.
So you train the oops out of, and by the way, that's your business. You do training and consulting with different companies and brands, helping them create a better customer experience. And you get rid of the oops, get rid of the mistakes. Here's my interesting take on what it takes to exceed expectations. And that is just meet the expectation, which means you do what you're supposed to do without an oops. Up until today, I never used the word oops. I said without a mistake, a problem, an issue, something that causes friction. But that's what
Yes.
oops is.
Exactly. And that's, we put out there with our marketing, we're showing them this is what we're going to provide to you. And you're right, Shep, if we don't even meet that expectation, then they're certainly not going to come back. You're not going to be memorable at all. And yes, over the last 30 years, I've really focused in on the hospitality industry, Shep, and I've loved that. And it's been a real honor and privilege because some of those young boys and girls that I was training, back all those years ago, cleaning ashtrays, are now CEOs, and they've taken me on their own personal career journey, but also the building of some really large venues and multiple venues here in Australia. So I love customer service, and then setting the development as well through that frontline, sharing of customer service in then building their career into senior leadership teams.
Yeah. And do many of the younger people working for the hotels and motels still clean ashtrays, or are ashtrays a thing of the past?
Well, they are a thing of the past indoors. We do have outdoor terraces and gaming areas
Ah,
where they
yes.
can still smoke, but it's very hard to get them out there. And it's more of I love this, Shep. You know, you'll be trading now and you'll say, now, does anybody need to go out for a break for a cigarette? And they go, oh no, we don't smoke. But they all get up, then they go out and vape. And I think, well, isn't that the
They
same
vape.
thing? But I love it.
Well, you don't need an ashtray for vaping, at least not that I'm aware of. But still, I get the idea. But it's fascinating that you've seen people go from entry level jobs to becoming CEOs of hospitality organizations. And the thing, this is what I want to talk about today is the hospitality mentality. And I've talked about
Yes.
it on the show for years. I mean, we've been doing the show now. This is our 10th year. Hard to believe. My first year I did a podcast was in 2014, and I was hired by CBS Radio to help start their podcast network. And I did a
Gosh.
year with them, and then I said, I got to do this on my own. And here we are. And since that time, it's been a focus on what I've loved and what you have loved all of your life. And that is,
Yes.
we have the mutual passion for customer service and customer experience. And so,
Yes.
well, let's talk about, you have something, and this is, I love, you have simplified the complicated, which is something I preach over and over again. And that you have this idea of the 3 E's. And if you do this, you don't fail.
Exactly. Yes.
And what now? I'm looking at you because we record on video. I'm looking like, come on now, give me the 3 E's, Michelle. We're waiting. You already given us the oops. What's the 3 E's?
So the 3 E's, well, it's not only easy enough for me to remember as I get old when I'm training or up there presenting, but it also provides a real strong framework for those frontline team members and those leaders to assess them on. So we're looking at the expectation as the first one. You know, what is your marketing saying about you? What are you creating in those minds? And then, of course, then there's the experience. What do they get when they walk through the door? You know, do you exceed that expectation? Do you, as you were saying at the start, Shep, do you at least meet that expectation? And then that last point is the evaluation. As that door hits the backside as they walk out, what are they thinking about your business? So, you know, I always look at these 3 E's as that expectation. You know how many times we'll see on billboards, Shep, or on, you know, websites, these lovely, smiling, welcoming faces. And you think this is going to be fantastic, particularly in hospitality, you know. And then you get there and you're met at the, you know, at the counter. Well, you're not always met. They're usually out the back having a conversation. And so I like to have a little bit of a cough and hoping somebody's going to come. And then I love this statement. They come out. There's only you, Shep, on one side, and there's me here as the counter person. I say to you, are you right there? And you think to yourself, well, I'm the only person here and nobody served me. So now that expectation and that experience is really starting to bottom out. And you think to yourself, where was that happy, smiling face that was on the billboard? Instead, you've got this person who looks like they've just sucked a bag of lemons and they don't want to be there, you know. So then we walk away with the evaluation thinking, yes, that's not what I thought it was going to be. And as we know, people are very quick now to get on to reviews and really make it quite clear about their disappointment. So we've got to think about those 3 E's. How do we approach it? And by having that framework, it really assists us when we're bringing in new team members, because the hospitality industry in particular, Shep, is usually based on that very entry level. It could be a second job. It could be their first job. But there's also a wonderful opportunity for career. So we really need a great, strong framework.
Right. Well, there was a gentleman I interviewed for one of my books, The Amazement Revolution, Jim Bush with American Express. He's since retired from Amex. He was the senior VP worldwide, senior level of customer service and experience, which meant he ran the customer support centers worldwide. And he said, Shep, I can have 2 candidates that I'm looking at. Both have good resumes. One has spent the last 10 years in the support center / call center with great references, obviously understands what that's about. And then I have someone over here that's never worked in a call center or support center, but they worked at the front desk of a hotel for the last 10 years. He goes, I'm hiring the hotel person every time. I want that hospitality mentality. I want that person that when they're talking to a guest that's upset, knows how to handle the oops, knows how to handle the
Yes.
mistakes. Because let me tell you, when you're looking at customer support, yeah, at Amex, people are calling, my card's stolen, the charge isn't going through, I've got a problem, whatever. They hardly ever call to say, I just wanted to let you know how great you guys are.
It's
I mean,
very rarely.
there is a chance that there's a question that is just a simple question that isn't about a complaint or a problem or an oops that you just, but then they have to go through listening to the recording, authenticating themselves with a credit card number, and the password, and knowing their mother's maiden name, their first child's name, whatever, the street they grew up on. All of this happens before they have the simple question of, can you check to see what my balance is? And obviously you can get that online now, but that's the point I'm trying to make, is I think it's so important what you're doing and recognizing everybody, no matter what business they're in, could benefit from having that hospitality mentality, regardless of the industry. All right. So this is a great framework for us to take a moment to take a break. We've talked about these 3 E's: expectation, experience, evaluation. We've talked about the hospitality mentality. Let's take a short break. And when we come back, I want to hear from you some of what you think the strongest tactics or ideas that we need to teach people on the front line, regardless of industry, to deliver a better experience that gets customers to say, as my favorite philosopher Arnold Schwarzenegger said in The Terminator, I'll be back. So let's take a quick break. We are coming back in just a moment. Michelle Pascoe will share her brilliance with us. Don't go away. One of my favorite sayings is that customer service isn't a department, it's a philosophy. And it's a philosophy that must be embraced by everyone in the organization all the time, and that's 24/7. So if customer service is important to you, and I know it is, then you will love our virtual training, the ultimate on-demand customer service and experience training program that you can access anytime, anywhere. Now, the course content applies to everyone, regardless of position and responsibility, from senior executives to the most recently hired and everyone in between. You'll discover tips, ideas, and strategies that won't cost your company a fortune, but will produce what I call moments of magic, those positive experiences, and it will happen at every level of your organization. So go to Customer Service VT. That's V as in virtual, T as in training. That's customerservicevt.com. It's time to get customer focused.
You're listening to Amazing Business Radio with best-selling author and customer service and business expert, Shep Hyken.
We're back on Amazing Business Radio. We are talking with Michelle Pascoe, the founder, CEO, grand poobah of the company OOPS, which stands for Optimum Operating Procedure and Services. And we've just been having this great conversation about, in general, the hospitality mentality. What I want to do now is I want to ask you, you're in the training business. You train people on how to deliver a great experience. And you know what I want to do before I even get into that? I'll bet it started out where you called it customer or guest service, but now we use this term experience. I get asked this all the time, but I want your take on it. What's the difference between customer service and customer experience?
It's very true. It has changed over the decades, Shep, and you're right. That service to me is delivering what you've said you're going to deliver, whether it's a product or whether there's that interaction, providing something and then, taking the money for it. The experience is about how it makes them feel. And that differentiates a business that provides a service and to a business that when they provide that experience, that customer walks away going, that was amazing. They may not even been able to fulfill what they were looking for, but that was the way that was handled. It's also looking at that experience where, it's that intangible. If I can give you just a really quick, short little example here. I've been in the health system the last week with my daughter in a very big hospital here in Sydney. And you look at hospitals, that their customers, so to speak, are in and out, in and out, in and out, and they may never see them again.
Yeah, and by the
But
way, as a
I've
customer at a hospital, it's like I don't ever want to go back, no matter how nice they are, no matter how good the experience was. I just don't want to go back there. But if
that
those
is very
people went
true.
to work at another company, I'd be very happy.
Yes, that is true. So she's been there for a week and I've loved it. Every time the person who's coming to serve the food, so thinking about my hospitality, my daughter has an unusual name. Her name is Kaylin. And I hear them outside practicing her name. So when they come in with her food, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, they go, "Hello, Miss Kaylin, here is your dinner. Hello, Miss Kaylin, here's," and I think, isn't that beautiful? You know what? That's created an experience as a mother. I know that they're caring for my daughter when I'm not there. And these are people that are, doing that very front-facing role that people may look down upon, but that's about that's an experience. See, I'll talk about that.
Yeah,
That's
that's great.
perfect.
And you know what else? What they've done is they planted a seed, and this has got you thinking, well, if they do this here, I can only imagine how great they're doing in other areas of the business. And I think
Yes.
it helps. That's why it's so important. And there's all these different stats, facts, and findings that say it takes, 5 good things to make up for one bad thing that happens. But you know what? If you just do a good thing, it's expected. So
Yes.
it's very easy to go from amazing to mediocrity or even worse in one quick second. You build up this reputation. All right, let's jump to my original question I wanted to ask you, and that is about training and equipping the team with what they need. Do you have a prescription for success when it comes to this?
I think it all starts on that very first day, Shep. Coming in, you've been promised a lot during that job interview. That induction program really has to be succinct. It's got to deliver what you have promised them. You've also got to understand that people learn in different ways. And I know as, business owners as well as managers, we can see this process sometimes and we say to somebody, "Oh, yes, you just do this, that you just do that." Or, "Oh, look, it takes 6 steps, but you can do it in 2." What we remove from that training is the opportunity for that first time person into the business to actually understand every single step and the why behind that. And we see that more and more now where they come in, they're told half the way to do things. They then come back and make mistakes. They feel embarrassed, they feel frustrated, and therefore they leave. And we wonder to ourselves as employers, well, why did they go? Well, I think we have to reflect on ourselves. What are those procedures and systems that we're putting in place, but still realizing that they're humans? We need to connect with them, Shep, don't we? We need to understand a little bit more about them. They're not a robot.
Yeah, so they're not a robot. You've got to give them insights. You got to teach them what to handle in certain experiences. How do you teach them to do the right thing?
I'm very values based in all my training, and I believe if you have values in your company, that you model those actions and behaviors of those values. Because we all know our frontline teams or all our team members look to us for those values. And then when we have those values in place and we connect those with those operating procedures in our business, then when we have that moment where they shine, we can say, "You've done this excellent job," because that connects with that value. But also the other, you're being disciplined because that what you did was not in, part of our value framework there. So I've seen a lot of my clients really working hard on their values over the last couple of years, and it's made such a tremendous difference because it's not just going, "Hey, you're great, Shep." It's, "You're great, Shep, because this connects with the value." And that's where particularly our Gen Zs are really strongly connecting.
Yeah, we have a new project. We're working with a major retailer, an international retailer, and we created their service mantra for them. It's based. What we did is we said, what do we really want our customers to feel? Okay, which is really important. But then, as we were creating the behaviors that drive that mantra, we were outside of the executive boardroom, because we're working with their higher level execs to determine this, and they're going to push it through the entire organization. we saw these 6 values tied to leadership. We thought, what drives those values? What behaviors? And they shared them. I go, why don't we look at those values in the lens of customer experience? And there's different behaviors that drive those values, but at the end of the day, we can list a few examples of the behaviors that drive that value, but we don't care what the behaviors are as long as the value is hit, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So we train them to get them thinking and hope they do better, but we have this framework of the values we want them to stay and follow. You're in the hospitality world. Ritz-Carlton's mantra, they call it the credo, actually. 9 words. Do you know what it is? It's a pop quiz.
No, you can share it with me.
We're ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, isn't that
9
lovely?
words. And behind that, I heard a little doggy. That's okay. We love the dogs. Hey, we're working from home. This is what we're used to. I'm waiting for the little child to walk by or somebody to come in and ask you for help for something. But anyway, so they've got these values. And then behind that, they have these gold standards. And there's a lot of them. And they go through the gold standards every day and work on one of them each day. Now, you can work on a value, one each week. But the whole idea is repetition, redundancy, because training isn't one and done. It's not onboard them and hope they get it for the rest of their lives.
It's certainly not. But you know how often business owners think that way, don't they? Or we have this idea that everybody thinks like us when we're the leader, and they don't. We have to really think about, well, what are the drivers? How do they best learn? And what would they need to know about this business more? Because we can have all these, standard operating procedures and, these systems and in place, but they need to understand that human connection. And that's where that experience part comes in, particularly when it comes to hospitality. They need to be understanding. I always have a joke. A lot of my clients, are in the hotel business, and they may well know what your beer is well before they even know your name. And, and we have a little bit of a joke about that. But it's really important because it has that connection. You're starting to talk to them. So as leaders, we expect our frontline teams to make a connection with our customers. But do you stop and make a connection with your frontline team? And more than just knowing their name or going, how are you in the hallway, but actually getting to know them, because people that are going to stay with your business are people that have been seen, heard, and feel that you care for them.
Oh, yeah. You're singing my song. I don't know if you've met Ryan Minton. Have you met Ryan? Thanks.
I've heard of the name.
Thanks for coming in today.
Yes.
And that's a great story. He was the manager of very successful Marriott hotels. Christine Trippey's been on our show a couple of times. She created a training program. She actually ran what I believe became the #1 property for Marriott and Bonvoy, and that's a pretty big thing. And now she trains others. Now they're over here in the U.S. You're over there in Australia. You've got that market locked down. Hey, let's get to the final question of the interview. I love this question. It gives me just your final insight, that nugget of wisdom. I call it the one thing question, the last thing, idea, tactic, tip, trick that you want us to know before we end our interview today.
We all focus on that first impression, but let's look at that last impression. It's all about creating that amazing experience journey from the moment they walk in to the moment they leave. And when it comes to service recovery, remember, you're dealing with a person who has feelings, who has a heart.
Wow. So you've got a lot baked in there. But to start with the last impression, that first impression sets the tone for what's to follow, and the last impression leaves a lasting impression.
Definitely. It definitely does.
And that's what you've done. You've given us a great lasting impression to remember the first and the last impression. Thank you very much, Michelle, for being on our show today.
Thank you, Shep. I've really enjoyed it. And I wish your audience all the very best and to create amazing customer experiences.
Yeah, we love that word, amazing. That's for sure. Well, Michelle, thanks again for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, that wraps it up. Another episode of Amazing Business Radio. And please come back next week because we're going to have another amazing interview. Until that time, this is Shep Hyken reminding you to always be amazing.